A very good evening to everyone. Thank you so much for having me address you today. And a big thank you to Cloudbazaar. Uh, this session is going to be all about search engine optimization and how you could simplify it. I just want a quick yes from you if you all can hear me and see me. Quickly respond on chat if you can hear me and see my screen. I would like to know if you all can hear me clearly, and then we could proceed quickly. Okay, great. So let's go. So firstly, why am I here and why am I addressing you? This is Meherzad Karanjia, and I come from a company called IIDE, which is the Indian Institute of Digital Education. Now, IIDE has been around for a while, but my journey started way before IIDE, around 18 years ago, with a company called eBay India, which was one of the first e-commerce sites the world would have seen and India would have seen. From eBay, I learned a lot about user experience, and I understood how SEO and user experience are closely knitted. And when I went to Quicker and Pepperfry, I implemented all the learnings from eBay, then went on to some digital agencies such as Foxy Moron and Shebang. And ultimately, today I stand in front of you as the Chief Learning Officer at IIDE. So that's a bit about me and my journey. I would like to know a little bit about y'all. So on chat, if y'all can just tell me who y'all are y'all entrepreneurs? Are y'all familiar with SEO? Just a little background would help. So while y'all share that with me on chat, let me begin with today's session. So long ago, in 1998, was born a child called Google. And as all children of 0 years of age, Google was a little stupid, right? I repeat, as all children who are just born, Google has zero intelligence, and hence it did not even know the difference between COLOUR and COLOR. It thought they were two different words, and it would give two different results for both these words. But from then to today, a lot has changed. But while this change happened, SEO experts started believing that Google is still stupid, and they need to keep repeating the keyword over and over again to tell Google what their content is all about. So for example, you have a meme on your page which keeps repeating the word in synonyms multiple times. But honestly, in 2020, this is not how SEO works. SEO has come a long way. And it has come a long way courtesy the website owners and SEO experts who have told Google, who have educated Google. So remember, Google is just a search engine. What we provide to Google will educate it. So over the years, Google has just become smarter and smarter. And it has loads of data stored on its server. So today it's almost 21 years old with loads of data on its server. And if you think what is exactly going into this data servers, it is nothing but what you do when you search on Google. What are you searching for? What are you clicking on? Did you like what you see, or did you hit the back button? All of this put together is making space on Google servers. So the first thing you should make note of is Google is no longer stupid. It's come a long way. It has loads of data, loads of historical data, which helps it understand what users are searching for and what content will map to a user. So let me explain this further. Suppose I start searching on Google today, right? I type in what is, and I just press the letter C, and it will start showing me options. Now, if I had booked if I had searched about coronavirus recently, Corona would come up, right? So it's trying to predict what I would want to search for. So depending on what historical searches I've done in the past, the first thing you should know is that Google is prompting users to search. And if Google starts prompting users to search, then obviously those keywords become far more important than any other keyword. So the first thing you understood today is that people, when they search, they're not searching by their own. Google is spoon feeding them with auto-suggest results. Also, Google tries to put context to what you are searching. So for example, when you search with a location keyword, or when you search with near me, Google automatically knows where you are and gives you results near you, right? So your location, your previous searches, your interests, all are kind of translating into what you see. So two things we just discussed. We said that Google is trying to feed you with auto suggests. And secondly, Google is trying to customize results for you so that you get to see what you want to see, right? Third thing that you should take note of is every time you visit a website and you hit the back button, there are a lot of people who say, hey, this website ranked high on Google, but I did not find it that useful. So I hit the back button. Now, Google is watching this also and storing it on its server. So ultimately, any site which ranks high but has bad user experience or is not matching the keyword or user experience, Google is kind of giving it negative points, right? So that's something else you need to keep in mind, that it's not just about ranking, it's about having fantastic user experience too. And once all of that is in place, it all starts making sense. So to summarize, Google has loads of data on its servers. It's all based on an AI algorithm. It tries to map your search pattern and tries to look at your location also to give you relevant results. And hence, the biggest challenge for SEO experts is that no two people in the world will see the same results. I repeat, no two people in the world are guaranteed to see the same results. So let's try. If you search for order pizza online, go ahead, try to search for order pizza online. Most of y'all will see Zomato on position 1. But a lot of y'all might see some Swiggy on position 1. Or a lot of y'all might see a local pizza joint coming on position 1 or 2, which I may not see, right? So what I'm trying to tell you is that Google is going to customize results. Everybody is not going to see the same results. Everybody is going to see a different set of results depending on their location, their past history, and whatever data Google has on its server, right? So do try this and compare this information with someone else next to you, and you will realize that the results are not exactly the same, right? There might be a little bit of a difference, and that's the customization I'm referring to. So now that you saw how Google works, let's understand how SEO works. So there's a concept called crawling, where Google as a spider is let loose onto your website and is just going to keep crawling wherever it finds links. So the first moral of the story is you need links. If there are links on the internet, the spider will thrive. If there are no links, the spider is not capable of doing anything. So do keep in mind that all the links on your website is what's helping Google crawl. The moment your website is a dead end or doesn't allow a user or Google to go further, crawling can't happen. So ensure that your links, whether from your site, from a third-party site, wherever, when the crawler comes, the crawler should be able to find lots of links into your site and should be able to crawl even further. Next concept is Google has crawled, it's read your content, it's found a link. It will now take a picture and save it on its server, okay, which is called caching. So what I'm saying is that the Google crawler came, it crawled, it read your information, it found your links. Every time it read some information and found a link, it just puts a picture on its server. Now, why does it do that? Let me give you an example. Say Meherzad created a website and tomorrow Meherzad said that, hey, I want to edit my website. I'm not happy with it. So he edits his website. But Google has not yet crawled the edit. Google still has the previous version of the website, right? And because it has the previous version of the website, it will run all its algorithms on the previous version. So Meherzad's latest content, Google may not even have. It will have its last scroll content and it will run the algorithm on the last scroll content. And that's why, my friends, SEO is not real time. Every time you make an edit, You need to tell Google that, hey, please come and crawl me again. Google will come and crawl you, then it will cache your information. And then indexing is when Google puts you on the search result page. So I'm going to repeat this really quick. Google comes and crawls, takes a picture, puts it on its server, and then runs an algorithm basis whatever it has on its server. In case I change my website, still that information is not on Google's server, and hence the algorithm will still run on the old information. And that is why SEO is not real time. SEO takes time. You have to keep waiting for Google to come and crawl you again, cache you again, run the algorithm, index you again. So this is the biggest takeaway from these slides, that SEO is not real time. If I go ahead, there are 1.95 billion sites in the world which are already indexed. Google has an overload of information. Why should it choose your website and put it one? So I'll give you some tips and tricks in a very simple language. If you have a pen and paper handy, please do take notes. This is everything that Google can do with your website. And look at this chart very carefully. I've taken this from a source called First Page Sage, and I quite endorse what these guys are saying. It says that Google gives 25% emphasis on who is consistently putting up content, high quality content on their site. It gives 21% weightage on the meta tags, and I will explain to you what those are. It puts 21% weightage on the meta tags because that is the first thing the user will see before entering the site. And all of these little colors that you see here, they are more or less to do with user experience. For example, your internal links, how mobile friendly you are. Is the visitor spending time on your site? How quick is your site? So if you go to see backlinks or third-party sites pointing to you are just 16%. Majority of Google's attention is on your quality of content and your meta tags. So please make a note, almost 25% plus 21% attention, almost 50% attention is going on the choice of keyword and your content you are writing. Another huge weightage is going on your website experience. And only 16% weightage is going on backlinks. So if you are an SEO expert or if you have an agency who is doing SEO for you, remember that backlinks are important, but they are not the only component of SEO. In fact, they are a very small component of SEO. What's more important is your website and the quality of your content that you're putting up. So do make a note of this chart. You can keep referring to it in life. One quick summary, almost 50% is the keyword and the choice of content on your website. Another almost 30-35% goes on your user experience, and only 16% is going behind backlinks. So don't obsess over backlinks. They are good, but don't obsess over them. First, get your content right, and you get your website right. If you guys are with me and if you're understanding what's happening, I quickly want you all to give me a yes on chat, or you can ask me your questions on chat and I could proceed. Quickly. I give you all 30 seconds. If you all have any questions, or if you feel that you want to ask me some question, then go ahead, ask me. Okay. Okay, great. So the question that I see here are, do you think too much work is being put into long form of content, and is it relevant or outdated now? So great question. Content is key. You need to keep putting content. You need to keep answering user questions. And I'll explain to you how that works. But don't worry about long or short. What you need to worry about is, are you giving out good quality content? Are you giving out content consistently? right? So that would make a lot of sense. Don't worry about long and short. If you're still worried and paranoid, try to keep your content more than 400 words. I repeat, try to keep your content more than 400 words. If it's a blog article, try to keep your content more than 1,000 words. Okay, so that's a little hint I would give you. Another question that's come out is how important is it for content to be authentic? It is extremely important for content to be authentic because Google will trust the original content creator. It will never trust someone who is copying content. So you will have to be an original content creator and a consistent content creator. Okay, awesome. So these were the questions that were fielded so far. I guess all good so far. Let's continue with the presentation. Let's go. So I'm going to share my screen again, and if you all can see my screen, I'm back to the presentation. I'm going to tell you how do you go about creating consistent content and high quality content. Pay attention. So there are two types of keywords in the world, long tail and short tail. Okay. Short tail keywords are the single word keywords. Long tail keywords are multiple word keywords. So if you look at my graph, the short tail keywords have a huge search volume. Long tail keywords have less search volume, but they are many in numbers. Okay. I repeat, say a keyword like t-shirt, humongous search volume. But blue American apparel t-shirt, less search volume. But just as there is blue American apparel t-shirt, there could be blue American t-shirt, blue American clothes, blue red American t-shirt, and so on. So there are many permutations, right? So t-shirt as a word is a short tail keyword. And I would urge you all not to obsess over this short tail keyword. Focus on the long tail keyword. Why? Because the long tail keyword also has the short keyword in it. I repeat, a long keyword also has a short keyword inside it. So don't always obsess over short keywords. You focus on the long keyword so that you can create good content. Automatically, you will be optimizing for the shorter keyword. So a quick comparison again. Short keywords have high search volume. Long keywords have low search volume. But short keywords have poor conversion rate because there is no intent in them. While long keywords have fantastic conversion rate because there is very high intent in them. Yeah. Another difference, short keywords have very high competition because all marketers are blindly running behind them. Long keywords have low competition because only marketers who find them relevant are running behind them. So SEO is all about going after these long keywords. And the biggest secret I told you today is that a long keyword also has a short keyword inside it. So do always remember that. Now the next question is, how do I find these keywords? So make a list of all the questions people could ask on Google. So for example, I come from an institute that teaches digital marketing. So I type in digital marketing on Google and observe what are all the questions people are asking. They are asking about jobs, they are asking about courses, they are asking about institutes in Bombay, they are asking about fees. Very good. So now I say, okay, out of these courses looks relevant to me. So I type in digital marketing courses space. Now I see Mumbai, Pune, fees, online, near me. So these are all the questions people have that they are asking Google. Now me as an individual, am I capable of answering all these questions? Is the question you have to ask yourself. If yes, then here is the advice. Go back to your website and create all these sections on your website or create all these pages on your websites so that whatever question the user is asking, your website is also answering them. Okay, so let me try simplify this. Google has all the questions. Your website should have all the answers. Then the matchmaking becomes beautiful, right? So if you are just going to create website in silo, you are just going to create content because you want to create it, then that's not how SEO works. You have to see what users are searching for. Take all those keywords, especially the long ones, and see if you can write content on your website for all those long keywords. Am I making sense? If quickly give me a yes if I'm making sense. Keep asking me your questions. I will address them in a bit. But for now, just remember, Google has the questions. Your website should have the answer. If your website has the answer, you become something called a domain authority. You become an expert when it comes to that domain. For that, you have to create lots of content. You have to answer these questions, and you have to create original content. Yeah. So new term learned, domain authority. It is nothing but an authority that is trusted by Google to create original content, to create lots of content, and obviously has some backlinks that proves that that content is genuine, right? So domain authority is a term that you'll learn today. You can go and research more about it. But the crux is that you need to keep writing on all the questions Google has till Google thinks, oh wow, all the questions I have, this site has the answer. They must be an authority. Making sense? Okay, so let's move on. So now you have a list of all the keywords that make sense to you. You go and check on your search volume. Because as a marketer, you have limited resources. As a client, you have limited funds. So you may not be able to write content consistently or very quickly. So then you start checking on the search volume of those keywords and prioritize your life. So say if digital marketing courses in Mumbai has higher search volume than digital marketing course fees, I know that I have to obsess more over that keyword. Right? So first make a list of all your long tail keywords and then check using a tool as to what keywords have more search volume. For that, there is a tool called the Google Keyword Planner. It is free, but actually it's not free because you have to create a Google Ads account and put your payment method in it, right? So I repeat, you have to create a Google Ads account, put your payment method in it, and then the keyword planner will be unlocked for you. It's a superb tool because the information comes straight from Google, right? Remember, all the tools in the world, whether they are free or paid, have to ultimately get their data from Google. I repeat, all the tools in the world, whether they are free or paid, ultimately they have to get their data from Google. And because Google wants you to put a payment method and then only will it give access to the tool, a lot of these third-party tools are making assumptions. So there are a lot of tools you will find that give you keyword search volume. These are all assumption based. They are all based on trends. That if the trend in the last 3 months was this, then the projection will be this, right? But there is only one person in the world who has all the right answers, and that is Google. So please look at the Google Keyword Planner first, then look at a third-party tool. Yeah. So always remember, Google is the boss. Google has the answers. Everybody else is making assumptions. They are making predictions and assumptions. Google is the only one knowing what's happening. And if you keep adding new pages and you keep adding content on these keywords, ultimately you become a domain authority. So I'm going to stop here. If you have more questions, quickly type them on chat and give me a yes if you're understanding and enjoying this session so far, so that I as a trainer know that, okay, I'm on the right track. So quickly give me a yes and ask me your questions. I'm going to go back and check. Okay, so let me read your questions out. Someone has asked me which SEO software is best. If you're using WordPress, then Yoast, all-in-one SEO, Rank Math. These are 3 tools that I really like. Rank Math, Yoast, all-in-one SEO. So use them if you're using WordPress. How does one leverage long tail keywords? So great question. What you have to do is take this long tail keyword and write content around it. It could be a blog article or it could be a subsection on your page. But make sure you are answering that question, that long tail keyword on your page. If you do that, the job is done. Okay. Another question is Google page speed score matters for ranking? Absolutely. Remember I showed you that pie chart? In that, there is around 5 to 7% weightage on page speed. So imagine this. User comes to your site, page is not loading, not loading, user hits back button. The moment the user hits the back button, what happens? The search is again auto-triggered on Google. So Google servers now know that Meherzad came to Google, searched, clicked on a result, hit back and searched again. That means whatever he clicked on was not relevant. Are you understanding? And hence page speed becomes very important. The user should not hit back. That's the biggest learning you get today. Okay. How to offer greater UI? Okay, great question. So UI is all about the look and feel, the button sizes, the text, the hierarchy of content. But there is another term called UX, user experience, right? Is the user finding what he or she wants? Is the text readable? Is the website loading fast enough? So I would recommend spend more time understanding UX, and then UI will come intuitively. So the colors, font sizes, button sizes, all that will be an outcome of UX. Okay. I have another question which asks, will blogging help SEO? Fantastic question. Remember I told you about long tail keywords? Now these long tail keywords make fantastic blogs. For example, if there is a user searching for digital marketing as a career option, now I can write a fantastic blog on it, right? I don't have to put it on my website. So whoever asked me this question, please remember that long tail keywords make beautiful blog articles. Keep finding them, keep adding them on blogs, and that should take care of it. Okay. With Google search results, ad listings taking up the real estate on top, how does SEO compete with SEM? Okay, so here is the catch. It's if a user asks a question in a keyword, and if the ad is answering it, the user will click on the ad. But if the ad is irrelevant, or it's just there because it answers the shorter keyword but not the longer keyword. Let me give you an example. Say I search for how to repair my Nike shoes, and I see an ad for Nike shoes. Obviously, I'm going to scroll past and go to the SEO results. Right? So as long as the ad is relevant, people will click. The moment the ad is irrelevant, they will scroll down and they rather click on the SEO result. So in real estate also, when people are looking for options and choices, they would rather scroll down and click on SEO than click on an ad and go to one specific real estate dealer. Right? So I think SEO is far more user-friendly that way. Another thing you should remember, there's a concept called CTR, click-through rate. No matter how good your ad is or no matter how good your SEO is, the CTR normally ranges from 5 to 20%. Right? So even if the user always has the choice of clicking at multiple places, so whatever you do, your CTR is never going to be more than say 20-25%. Right? Unless it's your own brand name, then it could be 40-50% also. Yeah. So your aim should be to get at least a CTR of 20%, and then you should be happy that you are doing justice to the keyword. Cool. So those were some questions that came in so far. I am going to go back to the presentation. Okay. So back to my favorite pie chart. And in this pie chart, I've highlighted two other things. One is keyword in meta titles and schema markups or structured data. Right? So we saw the first 25% take long tail keywords, make great content, become a domain authority. So this is kind of taken care of. Now let's look at this 21% plus this 2%, so around 23%. How do we take that? So here is how to do it. Meta tags are nothing but what you see on the Google search result page. So you see this line in blue, that is your page title. You see the lines in black, the two lines in black, that is your meta description. There is a URL, and whatever the URL ends in, for example, it ends in corporate training in digital marketing, that is called your slug. Okay, so your URL, your page title, your meta description, and then any other fancy decoration. It could be a picture, it could be video, it could be FAQs, it could be links, any other fancy decoration around the title, meta description, and slug is called schema tags. I repeat, any other fancy decoration around your title, description, and slug is called your schema tags. So let me go back one slide up. If you want to make the most of this 21% and this 2%, your page title, your meta description, your slug, and your schema tags need to be beautiful. That's how people will want to click on your website. So let's understand this a little better. First comes page title, the line in blue. It has to be 60 to 65 characters. Okay, I repeat, the page title has to be 60 to 65 characters. Otherwise, it runs into ... Yeah, so it will get hidden or eaten up. A lot of SEO experts say that it is bad if your page title is longer than 65 characters. Actually, the secret is it has got nothing to do with Google. It has got to do with what is the user seeing. So for example, I am saying customized digital marketing corporate training. If this is impressive enough for the user will click on it. But supposing corporate training as a keyword came after the 65 characters, the user will never see it, and hence the user will not click it. This is the biggest secret of page title. It has nothing to do with how many characters you put. It is to do with what is the user able to see. So please make a note. Ensure that your first 65 characters are superb. They have the keyword. And try to keep it at 65 characters. If it overflows, no problem. But whatever it overflows into should be irrelevant, or it should be less important. Whatever is seen should be more important. Then we come to meta description. This needs to be 160 to 300 characters. So the two lines in black, 160 to 300 characters. Again, the same funda applies. 160 characters, super important because the user will see them. You can add more, but Google may show it, may not show it. So it's a risk. Okay. Say you are on position 1 or 2, Google may love you a little extra and show more characters. But mostly it truncates or stops at 160 characters. So your meta description has to be around 160 characters and your page title has to be around 60 to 65 characters. If you overflow, it will get truncated. There is no penalty. Google is not going to penalize you. Only thing Google is saying is, if it's important, you rather put it upfront so that the user can see it. Okay, moving on to schema tags. Now, I told you any decoration around your page title, description, slug is called schema tags. So there are ratings, author, date of publishing, image, video, price, FAQs. So please make a note. These are some of the more popular schema tags that you will see. So you might see some stars. Let me see if I can show you an example. Supposing under the page title, there were stars here, reviews and ratings here, right? Then that could be the rating schema. Supposing it's a blog article and you saw the author's name there, that could be the author schema, and so on, right? So next time you are creating a new page, ask yourself the question, what out of this page can I show upfront on the Google search? Can I show a snippet of my image? Can I show my reviews and ratings? Can I show my FAQs? Automatically, then you can start researching on Google for a equivalent schema tag. So say you want to show the price, just Google search schema tag for price. And I'm sure you will get lots of results helping you do that. Yeah. So I will show you how to do that. But my advice to you is first understand what do you want to choose from the page and show it on the search result so that your listing here looks very nice. So let me show you how these schema tags are created. There's a tool available and I will quickly put up that tool. Give me a second. So I have a website page which says top 7 digital marketing jobs for freshers in 2020. It's an IIDE article. And I have a link from Google which says google.com webmasters markup helper. Okay. It's called google.com/webmasters plural /markup -helper. Right. So I'm going to see if I can share this with you on chat. Okay, so coming back to the tool, what this tool does is it asks you, hey, what kind of a page is it? Is it an article? Is it an event? Is it a movie? Is it a restaurant? And so on and so forth. So I say, okay, it's an article. And then it says, please put the URL here. So I go back to the page, I copy the URL, and I simply paste the URL here. And I say start tagging. Okay. The moment you say start tagging, the blog article that you saw there will come in this interface. And you will see all the schema tags you can add. You can add name, you can add author, you can add date published, image, article section, and so on. So I say, okay, this line on top, I select that, and I'm asked, what is this? I say, this is the name. Okay, so now Google is going to help me create a schema markup with this as the name. The author is Urja Rawat, right? So I select that and I say that's the author. Okay. Then this is my image. So I select that and say that's my image. And slowly you can try populate all of these pointers. Once you are done populating, you can click on create HTML and you will get some code which you need to put on your website for Google to know that these are the schema tags, right? So I'm not going to get into technicalities. In fact, I would recommend that you all research, watch a YouTube video on how schema tags are added. But this tool will help you a lot in getting the right code up and then creating the HTML, right? So this is one way of doing this. Let me go back to the presentation. So we just saw the structured data markup helper, which asks you what kind of a page do you have. And then you just have to highlight whatever schema tags you want and generate the HTML. That is one way of working. The other way of working is that you find neutral website that give you the schema code. For example, say I want something called an FAQ schema, which looks something like this. So I have my site, but I also have some FAQs under it. So then there is this URL which I will again share on chat. Give me a second. Okay, so you have a URL which helps you create FAQ schema specially, right? So even though I as a marketer have zero coding knowledge, this tool will able to generate the FAQ schema and then I have to put it on my website's code, right? Similarly, if you want to create the reviews and rating schema, which is basically have stars and a rating, there is another tool which allows you to create the rating tag, right? And it gives you the code like this, which you have to again go and put on your website. So ultimately what's happening? Your page title has the keyword, your meta description has the keyword, and you have some decoration around your meta tags, which are the reviews and ratings, FAQs, images, author, which make your result look fatter and a lot more click friendly, a lot more convincing enough for people to click. This is how you can get a lion's share of clicks onto your site. So please remember, schema tags are super important and they are the future of SEO if you're looking to do SEO seriously for your site. Now, someone saw your site, saw your schema tags, saw your tags. They will click on it and they will come to a website page. Okay. Now the page will look something like this. It will have a URL. It will have a nice big fat title, which is the header. It will have content, which I told you should be around 400 words. And if you put the keyword in the page title, meta description, URL, header, in your content, on the images as image tags, you are SEO optimizing for that keyword, right? So whoever asked me that question, then what should you do with the keyword? You should place it in your page title. You should paste it in your meta description, in your URL, in your header tags, in your content, in your image tags, and so on. So let's take an example. Digital marketing course in Mumbai with placement assistance. I read this and said, wow, sounds interesting. Let me click on it. So I clicked on it and I came to a page where the header reads digital marketing course with placement assistance. Bingo. The user read something. The header said the same thing. Then the content is mapping to that. The images are mapping to that. So the user experience is seamless. What the user saw in the tags and what the user saw on the page matches perfectly. This is another great way of ensuring the user does not hit the back button, right? The user stays on your page. So that was all about schema tags, meta tags, and how the keyword can be placed across your site. Right? I'm going to take a pause here and I'm going to field some more questions. So if you have questions, I give you 30 seconds. Ask me your questions and I'll be happy to answer. What are your thoughts on deploying schema tags via Google Tag Manager versus hard coding them? It's holding your ear like this or like this. If you're comfortable with a tag manager, by all means, go ahead and do it. Ultimately, the output is the same. How do I keep putting out good and authentic content? What are your thoughts on marketers putting out content by plagiarizing? Plagiarizing is a strict no-no. Okay. So remember I was telling you Google was stupid once upon a time. It didn't have too much of intelligence. But now with all the data on its server and it running its algorithm, it can easily catch who has copied from who, right? And who was the first content creator. So now if the first content creator is the original, then obviously the second content creator is the copycat. So Google is smart enough to now know what is plagiarized content. So I would strongly recommend to keep miles away from it. Even if you see benefits in the short run, in the long run, it's a horrible idea. Yeah, because your site could be penalized, it could be removed from the Google search result page, and you will just suffer in the long run. Any other questions I could help you with? Go ahead, field them. I give you another 10 seconds. And if you're enjoying the session so far, if it's all making sense to you, if you're learning something new, quickly give me a yes on chat so that we can proceed. Okay, awesome. I'll give you 5 more seconds. If any questions, otherwise we proceed. Great. Let's go on. Now comes this third little area on the chart. Your site speed, how much time is the user spending on the site? Is it mobile friendly? Now, this is all got to do with user experience, right? And I'm going to share some tools with you, which will help you check this. But before I jump into the tool, here is a little bit of data. It is said that if your site loads in 1 second, which is virtually impossible, if your site loads in 1 or 2 seconds, around 6 or 7 out of 100 people will leave it. But if your site loads in 6 seconds, almost 46 people out of 100 will leave it. So the longer your site takes to load, the more chances of people leaving it. That's why it is said that you want to ideally load your website between 3 to 5 seconds or maybe 3 to 4 seconds. 5 also, 38% people leaving is a lot, right? So you want to, in order to reduce your bounce rate, in order for people not to hit the back button, your website should load really fast. Now, how do you check if you're on the right track? There is a tool called Google PageSpeed Insights. Please make a note. Again, it's a Google tool and Google loves all its products. So Google PageSpeed Insights is one tool you should check. You can check many other tools for page speed, no problem. But also keep a watch on Google PageSpeed Insights because it's a Google tool, right? So when you put in a URL, it will give you a score. And it will give you all the reasons why your page is not loading fast enough. And you can take calculated decisions basis that. Remember, I'll go back to the chart. Site speed contributes to almost 4%, right? But what I showed you right now, if your site is painfully slow, say it takes 10 seconds to load, almost 65% people might just leave. Yeah. So make sure while it says 4% here, it's a very, very critical factor. Also remember, if the site is slow to load, the user will get impatient and not stay on the site for long. So he will not go to page 2 or page 3. So visitor time on site will also reduce. So it's not just 4%, it is almost 11 to 12%, right? Okay, so that was one tool. Second tool that I'm going to talk to you about is called mobile responsiveness. Okay, you can write down the tool name. It's called the mobile friendly test. Again, it's a Google tool. And what it tells you is your website good enough for the mobile screen? Okay, I'll give you some examples. Does the user have to scroll horizontally? If that's the case, if the content is going out of the page, then your website is not mobile friendly. I'm not talking about carousels. Carousels are fine. I'm talking about text content. While you're reading, all of a sudden some text has gone outside the screen, which is bad experience, right? So it should be a single column. Your font sizes should be large enough to read. And your buttons should be large enough so that I can go and place the finger on the button. Okay. So there is, I'll give you a little secret. This finger space is 44 by 44 pixels. Okay. I repeat, the finger space is 44 by 44 pixels. So if I go and put my finger on a button, that button's height should at least be 44 pixels. Otherwise, how am I going to comfortably put my finger on it, right? Another mobile friendly test could be, are two buttons extremely close to each other? Because then accidentally the user might click the wrong button. So buttons should be spaced out. They should be large. The text should be large. And the column should be singular. So these are some of the things that the Google mobile friendly test tool will tell you. And you will be able to take decisions whether to edit your site or to make it more comprehensive. All of that can happen basis tool. Again, I'm going to stop here. I'll field more questions. If you have any questions, please ask me. I'd be happy to answer them. Okay, looks like all good. How frequently should we add content? I mean, intervals of how many days? Okay. Remember, I was telling you Google crawling. Now look at Times of India or NDTV. They add content every just give me a second. Yeah. So look at Times of India or NDTV. They add content every 10-15 minutes. So Google feels that because they are adding content every 15 minutes, I am obligated to crawl them more often. Now look at Meherzad. Meherzad is lazy. He does not update his site for 6 months. And then one fine day he said, I want to update my site. Now Google has been watching Meherzad. He has not updated a site for 6 months. Do you think after the next day when he updates his site, Google is going to come and crawl him? No. Because Meherzad did not update for 6 months, Google assumed that Meherzad is not going to update his website anytime soon, right? So if you reduce the frequency of updating your content, then Google will reduce the frequency of crawling you. And this becomes a challenge later when you try to scale up your site, right? So keep in mind, as frequently as possible, you don't want to spam obviously, but try update your site as frequently as possible. Okay. With that, I come to the end of the material that I was going to share with you. I'm just going to quickly tell you a couple of things which may come in handy, and parallelly you can keep typing in more questions and keep asking me your questions. The first thing I'm going to leave you behind with is IIDE, the institute that I represent. I'm the Chief Learning Officer there. And if you think I spoke sense and I made SEO simple for you, these are some of my friends who train with me at IIDE. And we have created these video courses which you may want to use. So go ahead, give them a try. I have the URL on the screen. It's iid.co/online digital marketing courses. Or you can simply go to iid.co and navigate yourself. So these are some of the online courses which will help you learn more about SEO or any other topic you have in mind. If you enjoyed the session, my name is again Meherzad Karanjia. You can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram. The website is iid.co. And IID is super active on Instagram. So you can also follow IID on IID Online on Instagram. Okay, I'm going to now field some more questions. And after that, we'll call it an evening. Yeah. So let's see if you all have more questions for me. Okay. So while you all type in your questions, I'm going to quickly summarize the key things that I told you today. SEO is not real time. The search engine has to crawl you, then cache you, and then index you. So get into the habit of updating your site regularly, and Google will also crawl you more regularly. Okay. Another thing that you need to remember is long tail keywords are best. You find all the questions people are asking on search, and on your website provide all the answers. Okay. Google is the place with all the questions. Your website is the place with all the answers. That match becomes perfect. Then we spoke about authentic content, regular content. Very important, right? Google should look at you as an expert. We also spoke about meta tags and schema tags. So the page title and description, and how to make them look beautiful, right? So schema tags and your meta tags will ensure that your click-through rate or CTR is awesome. And then last we spoke about some tools to check if your website is mobile friendly and loading quickly, because that ultimately results in user experience. I have a question. Page speed depends on so many things. So how do you solve page speed? Excellent question. So I'll tell you typically what does page speed depend on. Page speed depends on images, CSS, which is your design, and JavaScript, which is your script. Okay. I repeat, 3 heaviest components of any website will be images, design, and script. Now, once upon a time, people used to find 4 MB, 5 MB images or 4 MB, 5 MB websites very heavy. But today, one WhatsApp message is like 10 MB, right? So people's internet speed has improved. I repeat, 4 MB or 5 MB is no longer a big deal. The big deal is that every time a component of your website has to load, the server has to take that information and give it to the user. So let me show you an example. Say I am on this blog article and I do a view source on this blog article. And I search for the number of images. So .jpg. And I realize there are 42 images on this website. That means my server has to respond back 42 times with the information. If I look at the number of CSS files, there are 14 CSS files. That means the server has to respond 14 times. And this becomes very crucial while calculating page speed, right? What I'm trying to say is, it's not just the weight of the component, It is how many components. You need to check the weight and you need to check the number of components. When both are in check, your load time will improve even better. Okay. Another question, what are your thoughts on having a horizontal article scroll progress bar for my article? Now, intuitively, people are used to scrolling vertically. With mobile phones getting more popular, vertical is the way forward. If you're breaking this norm and having a horizontal scroll, you have to have some education on your site that this site expects you to do. So, some kind of user onboarding, some kind of explanation, and then maybe you're fine. Otherwise, the user is going to get frustrated, irritated, and will probably bounce. So I would not suggest horizontal unless you are training the user on how to use your website. Otherwise, it's a bad idea. Any other questions I can help you all with? Awesome. So thank you so much, guys, for being such a fantastic audience. I loved the questions that you all shared with me. I hope I could make sense for you all. Remember, I come from an institute called IIDE. We provide digital skills, so do check us out. See you guys very soon. Stay safe, and goodbye from me from now.